All right. All right. This is so weird. Here we go. All right. I am so excited. So I am going to pull up my screen here in a minute. I'm going to show you what I'm doing while I'm doing it because I think that is the best way to learn. There is a spreadsheet that you will get from this as well. Just fill out the link in my bio and you will get a copy of that. Whoops. All right. So let's go. Share screen. There. All right. So hopefully y'all can see that. There you go. All right. Okay. All right. So welcome. I am so proud of you guys for looking at your budget, taking the time to figure it out. Know that it's a big decision and that nobody takes a look at their budget unless they have to. So you're not alone. Don't feel scared. Don't feel nervous. Nobody has to know your numbers. Nobody has to see your numbers. I'm not going to call on you and say, hey, what are your numbers? All right. I just want to give you a formula to save time and to know how to save time because once you know how to save time, you'll know how to save money because or once you know how to save money, you'll know how to save time. Once you save time, you'll know how to save money. Either way, learning those building blocks or those blocks, the oh my goodness, I cannot think. Woo! Knowing those patterns will help you decipher with what you need to do. Okay. So it's going to be the way you save time will be the same steps you take to save money. The way you save money will be the same steps you take to save time. Okay. Very, very simple. But welcome. I am so excited. All right. So the numbers that I'm going to show you tonight were mine when I first started. So the only reason that I know what I'm talking about is because I had to do this. Okay. The only reason that I can talk to you tonight is because I was you. I have been where you are, and that's why I can say anything about this. Okay. All right. So my numbers will not be the same as your numbers unless you happen to make $10 an hour. But I'm just going to base it on $10 an hour because my base was $10 an hour. I made commissions. So there are some weeks that it may have been more than $400. There may have been some weeks that it was $400. It never went below that. Okay. Even if I worked 3 days or 4 days instead of 5 because I had a sick kid, I got $400 that week because that was my base, if that makes sense. Okay. All right, so the steps that I'm going to teach you tonight are very simple. I don't want you to miss them. Step one, when you are starting a budget, write down what you spend now. Do not lie to yourself. Nobody's going to see your numbers. Nobody's going to call on you to ask you for your numbers. This is for your household. This is for your budget, okay? So make sure that you write your numbers down because they matter. They matter to what your household, makes, to what you bring in, to what you agree to when you take an interview. Okay. If an interviewer or a boss asks you, hey, will you make $10 an hour as a base plus commissions on anything you sell? Can you afford it? That's really what you're agreeing to is not how can I spend this much money? It's how much money can I make where I can afford to live, where I can afford to choose what I want to spend my money on. And that's what we're going to talk about. Hey, boys. All right. So, first things first, make sure that you're just writing it down. Keep a running tab and do not just hope that you'll catch it. Okay. Write it down on paper. That is so important. It is the number one step. It does not matter if you're trying to save time, it does not matter if you're trying to save money. I tried to run from this for a very long time. And what I realized is you just got to write it down. Like, the reason that you're not making the money you wanna make, and your money's not going where you want it to go, and your time isn't going where you want it to go, and you never have enough time, everybody has the same amount of time. What are you doing with it that somebody else is doing something different with it? It's not that they had more time, we get 24 hours in a day. So my point is step 1 is no matter what it is you wanna save, write it down. Because we can convince our brains of all kinds of things, okay? I was 35 years old before I started writing it down and figuring it out, okay? It wasn't working for me. So if what you're doing is working, great. You can hop off this Zoom. You're welcome to. That's, you're looking for it for a reason, okay? You wanna know how to save money for a reason. So apparently what you're doing isn't working, so write it down. I'm only gonna stress that point because it's so important. It's simple, but it's so important because what happens when we think, "Oh, we'll just catch it. No big deal. No big deal. We'll remember that," is we convince our brain that we had to have that, or that cost was for something, or the money's just missing, or we didn't really spend that much, right? Okay, we convince ourselves of all kinds of things. But if we write it down and we have that data in front of us, then we can just say, okay, that's what the data says. All right, I can stop that. No big deal. Like all of a sudden, you go from, no, I think we got it. I think we're good, to, oh, let's do something different. Okay, so write it down. Whatever your numbers are, just be honest with yourself. It does not matter if you're trying to impress me or your mom or your dad or your husband or your wife or your kids, okay? It does not matter who you're trying to impress. What matters is if you're looking at saving in some way, there's a problem because you wouldn't look at this unless you knew there was a problem. That's why I said in the beginning that I'm proud of you. This is a big step. Nobody looks at it for giggles, for the fun of it. I just wanted to see how much I save every single month. Oh my goodness. No, because you know that you don't have anything and you've had to say no enough times. Now, maybe you are one of those lucky people and you just looked at it because the spur of the moment caught you and you might as well, but I doubt that that's the case. Again, if it is, you're welcome to hop off. You've been doing just fine without me helping. Go on, go on with the bad self because I had to start this way as well. I'll tell you a story when I first had the stroke. The physical therapist came in and she was like, "All right, we're gonna practice walking today." And I was like, "You're crazy, like half my body isn't here." And she goes, "All right, look down at your right hand." I was like, "Okay, I got it." She's like, "See it?" "Yeah." She's like, "Look at your right foot." It's like, "Okay, I see it." She's like, "So I understand that your brain is saying it's not there, but it is. So tell your brain, thank you very much for all the help that you provide, for keeping you alive, but it can sit down. You've seen better." And every time I got scared or thought I couldn't do anything, that's what got me moving again. That's what got me up again. Oh, my brain just, I see it. It's still there. So you can't trick me. I'm going to trick you. When I first got home, about 3 weeks after I had gotten home, I sat on the coffee table and I hit the floor. And all I could do is laugh. I mean, it was laugh or cry. I mean, it's not that it hurt because I couldn't feel anything. If I could have broke my arm, I wouldn't have felt anything at that point. But what happened is I didn't feel my right side was not on the table because I never felt my right side at that point. And that's about a month and a half after the stroke, 2 months after the stroke, I still couldn't feel my right side. But because I said, I see it, I don't care if my brain tells me that it's not there. I see it. I have two hands still. I have 2 feet still. I'm going to try it. And that's how I started walking again. It's because I told it, thank you, but sit down. And it's the same thing when you're doing a budget or you're, saving your time. Uh, it's the same thing. You just got to tell it, thank you, but here's what the numbers show. I appreciate all you've done for me, but let's try it this way. If it doesn't work, what have you lost? 30 minutes of your time. That's it. Anyway, all right, so we're going to get into the numbers. All right, so I took off the number for the gas because it just kind of depends. Let's say you have a 20-gallon tank, okay? So you can go 20 miles. Sorry, we'll use a 20-gallon tank, but you can go 20 miles on a gallon, okay? So you go 10 miles to work and 10 miles from work. That's 1 gallon of gas a day, okay? Now, I'm not counting to the store. I'm not counting to the park. I'm not counting your weekends. Like, this is only to and from work, okay? Because what's going to happen is I'm putting an example of what you're making. You agreed to $400. You're going to have taxes taken out, maybe Medicare, Medicaid taken out, maybe 401k, maybe insurance. Your numbers are going to matter here, okay? I times that by 20%, the $400 by 20%. So that's $320 a week is what I was seeing. Okay. Now, there are some weeks that I would make 800 or 1200 or, it just depended. But here's a base. So if you're agreed to $10 an hour and you get 40 hours a week, you're looking at $400. Same thing. That's why these numbers work, because that's going to be an average pay. So anyway, I'm going to do 5 because we have 5 working days at least, usually. So you use 1 gallon of gas a day for 5 days. Okay. So equals 5. If I can find the times button, times, and we'll say gas is 2.35 or 2.25. Okay, I don't know. You're just going to have to use your numbers here. What's gas? What are you paying for it? Are you paying $4 a gallon? Do you have diesel instead of gas? Like, this is where you're going to put your numbers. I'm simply giving you my numbers as an example. Okay, so gas costs you $11.25 just to go to work. Okay, because that was just to work and from work. If you have daycare drop-offs or anything else, that, you just have to add that in. Car payment. I understand that a lot of people do not think that their car payment should be counted in their work expenses. And I completely understand that. But do you need a car to get to work? Is that what gets you to interviews? Is that what gets you to work? Is that what gets you to the boss's dinner? Like, what are you using? Unless you're taking a bus or you're taking a taxi or the car payment. Now, work's not going to pay for that. You have to pay for that. But can you accept what they're offering? That's the point you want to get to. Okay. So, what does it cost you to get to and from work? What does your car payment cost you? In my case, I also had daycare. So daycare every week cost me $235 for 2 kids in daycare. Food while you're at work. I said $50 because if you watch it, then it'll be about $10 a day for 5 days a week. Okay, $50. And that depends on if you eat breakfast and lunch, or you eat breakfast at home and take your food. Like, your numbers are going to matter here. Because what I thought is I didn't eat at work very often. Okay. I didn't usually eat. So that's what I would say is like, I don't even spend money on food while I'm at work. Okay. It's $200 a month right there. Okay. That's why it matters. But then every once in a while, like when I would get paid, I would go to Wendy's and I would spend $10. Not a big deal, but that's $40 a month. If that was the only thing I was doing. Of course, I was stopping at the gas station every once in a while, or at a dollar store, or going to a Subway. I mean, I would skip 3 or 4 days, don't get me wrong. But the fact was, I still spent about $100 a month on food while I was at work. So that's why it matters. Do you have vehicle insurance? Okay. Again, if you're using that vehicle to get back and forth to work, that needs to be a cost that you consider when accepting a position. How much can you afford? How much do you have to make it worth your time? Now, I do not want you to live on less than. I do not want you to scrimp and save. I want you to find the reason that you're scrimping and saving now, cut the costs that you can, fix the situation that you're in so that you can save money for future uses. Not so you're scrimping and saving because an car maintenance, because an engine blew, because you didn't take care of the maintenance, for a vacation, for whatever the case may be. But so you can have a savings account in case you need it to cover your bills for 3 months, in case you're out of work some, in case the cost of living goes up. It doesn't matter what it's for. What matters is that your money is going where you're telling it to go, not where it's just going because you didn't realize that you had money when you thought you didn't. All right, so vehicle maintenance. Okay, this is not a cost that just happens every once in a while. It's not a cost that just comes up out of the blue. It's just, oh man, we got to do vehicle maintenance again. No, it's a cost that you should be saving for so that it doesn't become a bill 4 times a year. Okay. So in this one, I've just taken $40. I don't know what your oil change is. It depends because Brandon's on his truck. His truck is a diesel. My car takes gas. His oil change is $200. Mine is $40. Okay. So it just depends on your numbers. What can you afford? $40 times 12 weeks, because every 3 months, about every 12 to 15 weeks, it's time for an oil change. So you should be pulling that money out. And if you only do it $3.33 every single week, you never even notice that the money is missing. You don't have the spur of the moment. All of a sudden, I've got $40 and I don't know how I'm going to spend it, or I don't know how I'm going to make it. Okay. Same thing, vehicle tires. Right? Again, you're using this vehicle to get back and forth to work. This is not just a fun vehicle. This is not just an extra. This is what you're going to use to get back and forth to work. So the vehicle maintenance, the gas, the oil changes, the tires, like all those things add up. Okay, $962. And I just took it as $500. I don't know. Again, Brandon's tires cost $800 a piece. It cost me $500 for all 4 tires. So it just depends on your numbers. Okay, that's such a wide range that I just did 500 and divided it by 52 weeks in a year. And it comes up to $9.62. Okay, so just what I have listed right here, you're making $320. That's what you're seeing every single week, but it's costing you $578.20. Feel like you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul? You really are. Okay? You're negative almost $200 or almost $300. You're not making enough money, and that doesn't include your trip to the store, the grocery store. That doesn't include your electricity bill. That doesn't include your cable bill. That doesn't include your Wi-Fi. That doesn't include anything. It simply is what it costs you to get to work. Okay? What it costs you to go to work. is more than what you're making. So something has to change. Either you need to accept a position making more money, or you need to get a second job. Because you have to get out of the situation that you're in. And if you're like me, you think, oh, no big deal. My spouse is working too. They're making money too. But remember, they have a car payment also, and they have gas also. And what are they spending on lunch? What are they spending on breakfast? I know Brandon used to spend about $250 a month just on lunch and snacks for work until I came around. And that wasn't any enormous amount. That was simply going out to eat once a day. Or, buying a few things like some Little Debbie's and some lunch meat and some bread, and you know what I mean? Like just things you need for food, take with you. So, as much as you may have two incomes, you need to make sure that what you're doing is worth your time. And how do you teach your brain what your time's worth? How do you know what your time's worth? Because everything that you've been taught, everything that has been drilled into you, everything, and I say everything because it doesn't matter if it's on the internet, if it's on the news, if it's on the TV, if it's in the movies, if it's in the books that you're reading, like everyone is talking about it. What you feed your mind grows. It's like planting a garden. It doesn't matter if you plant corn and right beside it you plant a poison. They're both going to grow. What are you doing? Which one are you watering? I've heard it before where you have two dogs and whichever one you feed is the strongest. It's the same scenario. It's the same example. The one that you feed is the one that's going to be strongest. The one that you water is the one that's going to grow. So anything that you're hearing, if you're hearing negative on the TV and on the internet and on social media and from your friends and from your family and from your job and from anyone you talk to, it's all you got. Because I guarantee you're not telling yourself only positive things and have everyone negative around you. Because what you think of you, others will think of you. So if you're met with a lot of negativity, from a lot of different places, you're probably talking pretty negatively to yourself as well. Because if you're talking pretty positively to yourself, people aren't going to speak negatively to you. They just won't talk because you wouldn't listen. Somebody comes up to me in Walmart and says, "Oh, you're Stephanie with the purple hair. Ah, you are like so quiet. I don't know." I'm like, "No, I'm pretty loud. My name isn't Stephanie. And my hair, no, it's not purple. No, not that there's anything wrong with those things, but I'm not quiet. I'm loud. My hair isn't purple, it's black. And my name isn't Stephanie, it's Rachel. I know that because I know myself. I know my name. I know my hair color. I know if I'm loud or I'm quiet. Okay, the more you know yourself, the less you'll associate with anybody else who decides to tell you that you're Stephanie with the purple hair. It's not who you are. So, I have set up a spreadsheet for each of you. And basically, all it is a blank document, okay? What you're going to do if you go to a bank, this is pretty much what they're going to give you. The forms that you fill out that say, hey, I'm depositing this much money. Okay, your deposit slip. It's pretty much this. What they give you in the back of a checkbook, and you write the stuff down that you wrote a check for. It's pretty much this. Like if you look at it, it's listed the same way, okay? It's nothing, no rocket science, no brain surgery. Like somebody without an education, me, because I dropped out of school in the 5th grade. Okay, you do not have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. It's super easy. You put by the date, you put your bill. Okay, you put bill's description. So maybe it's food, maybe it's electricity, maybe it's car payment. Okay, doesn't matter. If you receive money, you put it in the next slot. If it's a payment, you put it in the next slot. Okay, and then you don't have to put anything in the overdraft or the total because the total is done for you already. Okay, it's just going to add it up as you go. So let's put house, oops, house insurance. Okay. All right, so I don't receive any money for a house payment. I pay it, and let's say it's $750, okay? Insurance. I don't receive any money for insurance. I pay it. Hang on a second. It's a car payment, okay? A car insurance, okay? So let's say it's $100. But I got a payday. So I made, oh crap, I gotta make 700, 5,800. Let's just say it's 1,000. Oops, 1,000. Okay, and then on food and gas, I'm gonna spend at least 25 on gas. Cost me $11.20 to get to work. I may not spend that much, so let's do $20 on gas, and about 150 because that's what I spend right now. And I spend very minimal money on groceries. Okay, you're gonna save more money by saving it on groceries than you are by saving it on 10 cents a gallon. Okay, it's a good way to tell your mind what you're worth. Okay, making your bed every day. It's a good way to tell your mind what you're worth. You're worth having a made bed every single day. You're worth having a clean room. You're worth having a shower. Okay, if you want to teach yourself that you're worth something, because your worth is in the tank, then you need to do something for yourself. And if it's as simple as making your bed, then let it be as simple as making your bed. If it's keeping your sink clean before you go to bed, then keep your sink clean before you go to bed. But let's say whoops equals 150, 170. Okay. So you get the idea. Anytime that it's in red, it means it didn't budget. Okay, you don't make enough. Okay, you should not be in the red anymore. After the Zoom, you should be able to write down what you're spending, what you're making, and you know if you need to make more or you can stop spending. Okay, and that's how you get it out of the red. Okay, I'm going to delete the 170 because I can't stand the red. And what I did when I first started doing this, I was like, oops. Here we go. Crap. On the overdrafts to kind of like give myself a bad mark. So I remembered, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, it does cost me more in the long run. Okay. So I put $30. $30. And then I started to see how much I was going over. Okay, it's a really cool trick to remind myself that I can't spend $5 because it's not going to cost me $5 at a gas station or $10 to go out to eat. It's going to cost me an extra 30, so that $20 to take my kids out to eat and myself at McDonald's now costs me $55. And it made my next purchase unavailable because now I owe $35, not $20. Like, I'll show you what I mean. 170, okay? All right. So we're gonna put that back in, put another $30 there. Oh, okay. So if the phone bill cost me $200, then I'm gonna put another $30 there. You see what I mean? Like, oh, this affects me long term. This affects me for a few weeks of trying to catch up because I'm robbing from Peter to pay Paul. Now there's nothing wrong with that. There are times that you just have to do that. Like there were times that my kids just had to eat in order for, something, else. But one thing that I did is I took out like I got a smartphone and just went on Straight Talk because if I had to wait for my check to be deposited and go without a phone for 2 days or 3 days, I just went without a phone for 2 or 3 days. And that way, my check got deposited before I took $50 out or $30 out for Straight Talk, and it cost me an extra $35 or $30 in late fees. Okay, that way it only cost me $30 instead of costing me $60 when I didn't have it because I was a single mom. So this works. Okay, the spreadsheet is amazing. I absolutely love how simple it is and just how straight to the point it is. Like it tells me that I'm in the red, or it tells me when I'm in the black. And I can add lines, I can take lines away if I want to. Let me see, insert, and let's say, oh, I copy twice. All right, and just copy bottom. Okay, so make it several of them. And I want to say that it works, paid me 500. Then I want to take this last cell, I'm going to pull it down. I see how it changed it to the black just because I took out a second job. I started to make it work. It doesn't take long to fix the problem, but you have to have the data to prove that to your mind because you can keep saying, oh no, it'll work. Oh no, it'll work. It'll work. Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But you've been doing that for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. How old are you? Okay. You've been doing it as long as you've been alive. Write it down and let's see how long it'll take us to get out of debt. Okay. You have a whole year worth here. Like I said, it's all filled in. And all right. Okay. All right. So it is all filled in. I hope you guys have a great night. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Let me know. I will put a link in my bio for any questions or availability, and I'll go through your finances with you if you want. Or at least, fill out the 30-minute free Zoom and I will send you a copy. I'll email you. That's one of the questions in there is what's your email so that I can email you a copy of this spreadsheet so that you have it, so that you can fill it out. Because again, nobody knows unless you let them know. Okay, so be honest with you because you're the one that it matters for. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect anybody outside of your home. It affects your home, the children that are in your home, the spouse that is in your home, you that is in your home. It affects. It doesn't affect anyone else. But I love you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.